Welcome to Lead, Grow, Deepen. I'm your host, Shannon Carroll Washington. If you have never been to a Lead, Grow, Deepen, welcome. I'm looking directly in the camera at you. Welcome. If it's your first time, we are so happy you're here. Whether it was word of mouth, whether it was you saw something on LinkedIn, I don't care how you got here. Welcome. If you're watching this on a replay on demand, this is for you too. This is not. I love my live people in there. You guys are in the chat. You're showing me where you're from. I love it. I love it. I love it. I see you guys in Boulder. Boulder always runs deep, so go Boulder. I love it. Lead, Grow, Deepen. If you have never been to a Lead, Grow, Deepen, and I'm going to bring this up, I have some visuals to let you know what's going on. But Lead, Grow, Deepen is with ISS Guggenheimer. We are a company of belonging. Our promise to all of our employees is it's a place to be you. I feel that intently. I don't know. You guys have never met me, and you're going to see the crazy that is Shannon Carroll Washington, and I am not going to apologize for it. That's what it is. Because Lead, Grow, Deepen, we want to lead with inclusion. We want to grow diverse representation, and we want to deepen our partnerships with diversity, equity, and inclusion. ISS Guggenheimer, we're a company of belonging, and belonging is not fitting in. Okay. Belonging is because you feel like you belong there. We have some really awesome ERGs. If you are part of our organization, please scan this QR code, get connected. There are great resources. There's great opportunities to, lead a group, become a member. It's whatever you want it to be. So I'm happy to see that all of this is growing. I see all you guys. We have California in the house. Hello, Cali. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, Austin, I see you. Oh, hi, Chef Meg. How you doing? I am so excited that you guys are here. All month long at ISS. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we are celebrating Food Reduction Month. If you don't know what that is, basically the UN decided on September 29th, they're going to have a really awesome just food loss and waste awareness day. And so what that means is we're raising awareness on that. So what better way to do that than have something all month long? And so if you have not checked the pulse and you are part of our organization, if you're not a part of our organization, check our career page. We're always hiring, and tell them I sent you. We have a really good referral bonus. All right. So if you did not know, but our food reduction month, there's actually a recipe contest. So if you have any recipes about upcycling, how you can reduce food waste, please, please, please submit your recipe with this QR code. The deadline is tomorrow. Okay, deal? Deal. All right, so I have been talking a lot. I was waiting for everybody to come in. I see that everybody is here. I love it. I'm going to introduce our speaker today. I came across this speaker through various events, various channels. And from the time that I've met her, she has been this constant just wave of just passion about something that is so important. I like to say that she has gone from politics to our pantry, and you guys are going to hear how that happened. I have one paragraph to describe her on the screen, and I think it's the tip of the iceberg of all the things that she does, all the things that she loves, all the things that she just lives out every single day. I am honored. I am so excited. The CEO and founder of Matriark Foods, Anna Hammond, is in the building. Put ones in the chat if you can. Just give her an applause, because I know we don't have applause emojis, but she's here. I'm excited. I'm trying to unmute you. Anna, go ahead and unmute so we can hear you. And that way, we can have a conversation, because you guys, just as much as I'm talking to Anna, you can talk to Anna if you have questions. Look at all the ones in the chat coming in, Anna. Like, you are so loved. I see you, Amelia. Chef Lauren, Sal, my people, you guys are all here. I love it. I see all the ones. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody is like ready and willing to have a conversation with you. So this is so awesome. Oh, Chef Tim. Look, everybody's here. I'm so, guys, I keep saying I'm excited, but I really am excited. I have been looking forward to this call for a long time. And as you guys can see, my background's different because I'm in a hotel room today. So I'm not in my basement. I know. I actually get out. I'm wearing shoes, you guys. It's a whole new thing. But Matriark Foods is a woman-owned, certified, just an amazing company that is doing amazing things. And I wanted to start this conversation. I am a very visual person. So I want everybody in the chat to take a look at this picture and tell me what you see. And as people are putting stuff in the chat, Anna, what do you see when you look at this picture?
I was just saying to my colleague in the office, I'm like, do I look older than that now? Because that was taken during COVID.
Oh, you look great. What,
Yeah.
what do you see when you look at the picture of all of, let's see, it looks like tomatoes and onions. What do you see when you look at this?
Are you asking the audience or asking me?
I'm asking you, I'm asking the audience. They're going to start chiming into the chat. But what do you see, Anna?
I mean, I see opportunity.
Mm, 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 mm. I knew you were going to say a very good word about this. I mean, you guys put in the chat what you guys see. Why do you see opportunity, Anna? Why? Tell us.
I mean, for all the reasons, obviously, that I built this company, but I did grow up with two grandmothers, one of whom grew up on a farm in this country, and the other who was a political refugee after the Second World War. And, they would not even understand for 1 second why we would even need to have a company like Matriark. Like, who would throw out food? So it's, partly I guess, the DNA of how I was raised. Just never throw anything out because someone can use it and do something great with it. So, I suppose someone said compost in the chat, and compost also is opportunity. It's the opportunity to put things back into the soil and grow new things. So I think, particularly when you're talking about food, I never see this as something disgusting. I just see it as like, how can we do something great with it?
Yeah. Yeah. And how, you guys, I have known Anna for what, like 3 years now. And every time I talk to you, I learn something new. I get inspired. I'm like, can my brain work like Anna, where it's just always the passion behind what you do? It just shows just effortlessly. I have some stats on here. What you guys just saw was just a stock image from the government agricultural website about farm laws. And that is one picture that is very similar to hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of things. This stat that I have up on the screen, it says 37% of all food grown in the US is wasted. 37%. I mean, that's like more than a third of what you're doing. So you guys take your plate, make your plate, and I want you to just take a third of it and just like throw it away, because that's essentially what's happening before it even gets to your plate. And it's not like it's like, oh, these will all like bug infested, rotted foods. No, this is like fresh, edible food. And where does it go? A lot of it goes in the landfills, creates greenhouse gases, all of that. If you are not into the environmental and you think in money, that's $408 billion that basically it takes to just to throw it away. That's how much it costs just to throw it away. Like four, 408 billion. That's a billion with a B, right? Now, on that same parallel track, there's 117 million people in the US that suffer from diet related illnesses. Okay. There's also 34 million people in the US who are food insecure, including 9 million children. Now, I am no mathematician, I am no brainiac, but I think after talking to Anna and seeing like, oh, here's food, here's a need, how can we make that happen? So Anna, like when you look at these stats and you started this company, tell us about that process and what it means to you.
Yeah, thanks for all the setup. I mean, as I worked for a long time in the nonprofit world, and then I had a short stint in politics as a speechwriter. But part of the work that I was doing as a speechwriter, the politician I was working for really wanted to get me to run for office. And after about 6 months, I was like, there's no way I can do this. But she kind of roped me into working on a project that she had lined up and didn't have time for, which was working with a group of farmers in the county where I used to live, who wanted to get county land designated to grow food for the community. and there was a piece of legislation that needed to be written. So I did a lot of listening with them. I spent time where they were planning to farm. Some of them were fifth generation farmers. Some of them were what I like to call new wave farmers. Younger people who really wanted to do something positive in terms of growing food. And long story, we did get that piece of legislation written and passed, and there are now 3 farms that grow food for the community in that county. And then I met someone who had just started a small project in New York to teach children about healthy eating. And she'd also bought a farm in upstate New York. She also happened to own the largest catering company in New York City. So she was growing food for the community or for her catering company, and then wanted to do something with young people. And we met and we really hit it off. And at the time I was like, well, I haven't done that much with food except write this piece of legislation, but I had built a lot of programs, worked with young people, raised money, worked with a lot of chefs. That's also in the previous work I had done. Anyway, long story, I came on to that job, and over a 7-year period, we built a healthy eating program for youth and families living in public housing in New York City. And it was a culinary training program that was part job and part health. So really, basically the premise was, if you don't know how to cook and you're living on a budget, it's very hard to eat healthy food in a regular way. And it was so very practical, but also, chef skills for entry-level jobs. And part of that work, we were brokering relationships with farmers in Columbia County to donate their surplus produce into these programs, because, public housing in New York City is technically the 10th largest city in the United States, and also one of the highest concentrations of food deserts in the United States. Which is a fact that people just can't believe. The great city of New York has that much need, but it does. And there was just so much food available, and farmers also needing extra income. And while I admire very much philanthropic programs where people donate food, farmers need income, and especially small and mid-scale farmers, and people need healthy food. So it sort of seemed like just this obvious thing to create a sustainable business that would do 3 things, create revenue for farmers, divert farm surplus from being dissed under and all the negative environmental impacts that causes, and create greater access to good quality, healthy food for all people. So that's a little bit of the story of how this started.
So it's not just getting on the phone and talking to farmers. You go out there, you shake hands, you meet people, you talk to them, you see what are the needs that they have. Because it's not just like, oh yeah, the farm, they just have extra, whatever. They don't go out and set out and say, oh yeah, I'm going to grow all this stuff and a third of it I'm just going to throw away or not do anything. I'm not going to make any revenue. That's not the case. You guys, you know how we love a good video here on Lead Grow Deepen. So I'm going to play this video. It's Anna talking to some farmers, and actually they're telling us what some of the issues they do have. And what I love is we're going to talk about some of the solutions to those problems with Matriark, because that's why we're here. Matriark is amazing. So I'm going to play this video, you guys, straight from the farmer's mouths. Here we go. Wait for it. Here we go.
Pretty much a very product, because all the commodities have a time where it's not sellable, or no customers, or so either we just kind of, like the strawberry, we throw it away, or the carrot that we just let it grow, or any of the kale or lettuces that we just till it back into the soil and plant something else that we think we're going to be able to get some profit out of. So around 30 to 35 is what goes to waste.
she has enough produce to really sell more. So the need of finding value aligned buyers, it's of great importance for Magaña Farm and for herself.
A big puzzle piece in terms of making a lot of small farms have enough outlets for all the things they grow is every farm is going to have seconds of some sort. The project you told me about, the Matriark project, is something that I'm really excited about in particular, because that's a puzzle piece that we haven't fully figured out in terms of how to have outlets for all of our seconds. And so I think that's something that we're very interested in kind of exploring more.
All right. So he brought up an excellent point. I have this graphic that's on the screen. I'm going to leave it up there because it's a lot in there, but breaking it down, you have two numbers. You have 10.6 million tons and 83.3 million tons. Part of that is from the actual ground from the farmers, their surplus. The other part is, I know how people love their fresh cut baby carrots or their celery sticks. And so these processing places that have all these scraps, I was flabbergasted when you sent over this stuff, because I'm like, that many pounds of food that is just there for the taking is underutilized. And so tell us about Matriark and what it does for this cycle of using the farm surplus, using scraps from different processing. How do you make it work?
Yeah, well, it was very, sometimes you think, if I knew how complicated something was going to be before I started it, I would never start. But, you have a big idea and then you're like, I'm just going to make it work. So we did. But I think when we talked earlier about sort of the large stat around food waste, everyone often thinks about the food that gets wasted in the home, and there's the largest portion of food, and probably in food service you see this too, where people just they take stuff on their plate and then they throw it out. And I know your team has done a lot around behavior change in that way, and smaller plates and that kind of thing, which is great. But there are also a couple of other places in the system where there's enormous loss, and one, as you described, is fresh cut facilities. So all the carrot sticks you see or celery sticks in a grocery store, it's just like, imagine where the rest of that bunch of celery is, usually in the garbage. And so we've worked with large manufacturers to create a food safe compliant supply chain, over the years, the first early years of starting the business, to capture that and basically reclassify it as food, which they're doing in their manufacturing facilities anyway with the other products they have. But it's sort of shifting that mentality and turning it into something that they can sell, albeit for a much reduced price. Similarly, with farm surplus, 20 to 40% of food that's grown never even leaves the farm gate. And that's for, most of the things we all now mostly understand, which is size, spec, ripeness, a little too ripe, a little underripe, but mostly size. And when you go to the manufacturing facility, you see why. It's like machines are made to take a certain thing. Like, no melon grows the same size, no tomato grows the same size, but sort of within that range, there's one narrow piece. So we just really kind of in the old-fashioned way at the very beginning, just picked up the phone and called manufacturing facilities, big vegetable manufacturing facilities, but also because of the work that I had done early on in Columbia County with farmers, I had already established relationships with farmers and chefs who were either donating their products to the classes or coming in and teaching, as part of the program. And so that group of people we worked with in the program we ran really was this sort of essential kind of core. And then from that, because we had those relationships with people, and then we were able to develop products that were making them money, they could see it was a viable business proposition, even from the earliest days. that just had a kind of network effect. So, we got introduced to different farmers by farmers we had worked with. We got introduced to other fresh cut manufacturers by manufacturers that we had worked with. So it really was, started with relationships, as all things do, and still are. 50% of we always say in the office, like 50% of what we're doing is trucking, and 5% is making the food, and the other 45 is the relationship. So that
true.
really was how it grew.
So true. Yeah. So speaking of relationships, everybody that's on this call, I mean, I saw probably at least 6 chefs in the chat already. One of the things that, we talk about, I don't know if you guys realize, so taking the fresh cut scraps, taking farm surplus, you make products that are extremely useful in food service. I'm going to bring up another slide, because really what I want at the heart of this conversation is, how can we partner with you? We are a food service company. We are food people feeding people. And it's like, how can we partner with you? Because you're doing something amazing, where you're taking something that was lost, that's causing us money to get rid of the loss, when it could be put to work for something really awesome. I mean, it's Food Waste Reduction Month, and you have solutions and how we can help reduce waste, just doing our everyday job, like making delicious food for people, creating really great experiences, having really great recipes. You can help start those recipes with your products. And I said I was going to bring up the slide, and I should probably bring up the slide, but this next slide, and you guys, the small print, I swear there are gems in the small print. I had no idea that 1 pound of wasted food was the equivalent of almost 2.6 pounds of greenhouse gases, which equals 119 gallons of water. Like, what? Like the things we don't think about. So, okay, when we talk about chefs on the call, the chefs that are going to watch this in demand, like, how can we partner with you and making an impact back of house?
I mean, it really is, I see, chefs are really the key to all of this impact. I mean, you're the ones who make the food, you're the ones who decide what is going to be made and what ingredients you're going to use. And we've worked with chefs to develop the product line, so far, and we're continuing to pilot out new products, things that can be easily used and integrated or swapped out, so that, instead of using, a high sodium broth concentrate that has a million things you can't pronounce and tons of salt, here's a vegetable broth that's all real vegetables. Or similarly, tomatoes. I love to say, we love Italian tomatoes in Italy. We should be using American grown tomatoes that are processed, from surplus, and sometimes, not all surplus. So, I feel like Matriark in some ways is, yes, we're a product company, but we're a facilitator of impact, with chefs, to get, I mean, as food service is where over 50% of meals are eaten in this country. And so it's a place where people enjoy food, and also where everyone can make an enormous impact, not only in, through what you're cooking, but also, what you're eating.
Yeah. So true. So true. So
anyway, I guess we like to break it.
Yes.
Yeah, so we like to just break it down in terms of that slide where it's, showing what just a tablespoon in 2,000 servings can do over, a 52-week period. Like, there's certain, just shifts in one ingredient that can really, start to in aggregate make an enormous impact on the environment and also on people's health. Vegetable forward, as we all know, is generally better for people's health. So, so those two things really.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. Like, it's no secret, I'm a Black woman, and in my community, the preventable diseases based on either lack of knowledge about nutrition, lack of access of nutrition, like, it hurts my heart when it's like food, when they say food is medicine, and it's like not even for, a medicinal of the disease, but it prevents so much. brings people together. It has so much power to do certain things. And when I see this slide where it's like, not only are we feeding people, but we're also feeding the planet and making sure that it's better. I mean, I have 2 little kids at home. What is the future going to look like for them? And it's like, oh, 832,000 gallons of water that can be saved by using this vegetable broth. Like, easy things, easy swaps, easy, like no brainer things that can happen. I jumped the gun and started showing off other slides, but I'm a very visual person. So being able to see what your products look like. So on the retail side, starting on the other side, like going in and being like, oh, tomato basil sauce. You guys, I've been making baby food and in my house, and I found like the little alphabet pastas, and I'm like, oh, if I could just take this tomato basil, mix with some alphabets, here you go. My 1-year-old would be like, Mama, you're a genius. I'm gonna skip over emergency food because we're gonna talk about that next. Before I talk about that, you guys, if you have questions for Anna, she's here. So if you are chefs and you know, like, ooh, I am going to start using this, ask the questions that you want now, whether it's about how it came about, the processes, how you can get involved in testing new products. Please ask the questions. We're here. This is your conversation, the same. So food service, you guys see, we have vegetable broth concentrate. You just talked about using the ramen by using this and that and all the things. And then we'll talk about emergency food, but I see a question in there. Thanks, Chef. Let's see what we have here. Lauren asked, oh, sorry guys, I double clicked and it went away. Lauren asked, can you share some of the reactions from the chef or guest once they used or tasted your products? What are they saying?
Sure. I mean, guests love it and they love the story. So, you know, and they're just going to love whatever you're making. So it's really more sort of on the chef side of being inventive, and it's all over the map of what people are making. So, you know, the passata is being used as the house pizza sauce in all the Google cafes right now, for example. And there was a blind taste test with, I think it was 12 chefs, and everyone chose it over the current tomatoes that they were using. Another food service company is making a sort of standard lentil soup with the concentrate, and you know, really loving the vegetable forward flavor. So you know, where they had been using one of the miners' pastes for their broth, they're now using a real vegetable. And you said something about it's an easy swap out. We know that nothing is an easy swap out when it comes to like menuing and algorithms and all of that. So this is actually, you know, the collaboration of sort of integrating upcycled products into food service menus really has to be a collaboration and sort of understanding, because it's a different ingredient. It's going to react differently from what some of the things that are being used. So, but generally, you know, the response is great. Once in a while, someone doesn't like it. They don't like the front flavor. They don't like the back flavor. And, you know, in those cases also we're constantly working to improve or make new SKUs. We're working on a project right now with a bunch of chefs making a cauliflower puree made from whole heads of cauliflower that can be used in a variety of ways, as a sauce, as a bechamel, as a side dish. So it's, you know, I think probably we're a little unusual as a company in that we welcome feedback and we really welcome collaboration in terms of, you know, some of the product development as well. And the more we do together, the faster we'll get to where we need to go.
Yeah. So as chefs are coming up with their questions to go in there, I want to switch gears and talk about feeding people in need, giving people a nutrient like meal that's easy. I mean, we talk about college students that live in a dorm, may not have, you know, any access to good food. I know I think I ate pancakes 3 times a day for a variety of things, just because convenience. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna eat some pancakes. But like, tell me about how you're partnering with people like hospitals or, emergency food providers. How do you make this happen?
Yeah, so this is a product that we've been working on for the last year and a half. We actually had some funding from the Kroger Zero Waste, Zero Hunger Foundation, and then Danone Communities gave us R&D support to make sure that it would have all the, the right calories that we wanted. And I just have had a dream of making a shelf-stable, fully nutritional meal in a carton that people facing food insecurity or living in homeless shelters or newly to this country with nothing on their back but a backpack could eat and enjoy, something tasty, something also obviously in the nature of all of our products, which are upcycled, certified, carbon neutral. And so we developed this product, which is sourced now from all farm product from upstate New York. And it has as its base navy beans, which are very nutritious, and that's where the protein comes from. And we make it in a carton. It's got carrots, onions, celery, the liquid mirepoix, that's one of our food service products, navy beans, and sweet potatoes. And it has the calories, 530 healthy calories, 18 grams of protein, 12 grams of fiber, 30% daily value of iron. And we launched it 6 weeks ago, and this week we sold our first truckload to the food bank of Western New York. So we're pretty excited about the opportunity there, also because, there's food banks since COVID have been spending 60% more on meals and are really looking for healthier food. And we're excited about this because this sort of does everything we strive for, which is creating healthy food for people, paying farmers, small and mid-scale farmers, for their produce and having a positive impact on the environment and disrupting the big food industry, which I haven't gone into too much yet, but there's a lot of that goes on. Big food makes quite a bit of money in that space and isn't necessarily delivering what it should be in terms of health, nutrition, or the environment. So we're on a mission to disrupt that too.
Hold on. Oh wait, I left my soapbox at home for you to stand on so we could yell this across what we're doing. Okay, the questions are rolling in. Mary has the question. Wait for it. Let me bring it up. All right, Mary asks, I'm curious how it feels to shift into working from the private sector after a career in nonprofits. Do you think it's easier or harder to affect positive change via nonprofits or the private sector?
Such a great question. And it's something I do think about all the time. And I never look back, having left the nonprofit world. I love philanthropy. It comes out of a space of generosity, but there are very few people who can give at that level. And, I just feel so strongly that everyone should be able to participate in giving and receiving. And when you have a successful business that provides, good things for people, and that's part of a broader way that economics work, it's just simply more equitable. And so, I mean, business is so hard, and everyone here knows that. I don't think it's easier or harder to do the thing. Like, I was a very good fundraiser in the nonprofit world, and I feel very proud of the work that I was able to do because I believed in the programs and the people we worked with. And that had its own challenges. And this has its own challenges too, like getting a product to market, getting people to like it, being a woman in that space, not always so easy. But I feel that long term, it will be more sustainable and more equitable. And so that keeps me going.
You guys, I'm telling you, we have been talking for 35 minutes and we have yet to scratch the surface of just If you ever have a chance in your life to sit down with Anna Hammond and just have a conversation, it will change your life. That's all I'm going to say. All right, we got more questions. Let's see. Chrissy asked a very good question. So we talk about the farm and the products. She said, given the inherent variability of the potential food waste, what are some techniques or processes that you've developed to create consistent flavors in your products?
Yeah, also, thank you. Great question. Because we're working at this intersection of manufacturing often, we're not, it's not random what we're getting. We're not sort of going to a million different places and collecting a little of this or a little of that. And even, we're working on a project in the Bay Area right now with 45 small and mid-scale farmers. They're growing pretty much the same thing at the same time of year in relatively similar soil conditions, and we have obviously conditions that need to be met for food safety and everything else. It's not the variability that you would think necessarily. It's not like Campbell's. We don't own the entire field and have, drones that say, okay, these tomatoes are at this exact, have this exact amount of sugar today. And so we're going to process them. So they are going to taste exactly the same no matter what we put them in. There is some variability. And that's been a learning process with buyers, people who are accustomed to buying, let's say, using number 10 canned tomatoes are used to that being literally exactly the same every time. There's some variability, but it's it's not even the extreme of like fresh produce, because we do bricks, like we test the sugar content. It's not random, the process of processing it. But I think it's partly just that conversation that it might be slightly different, but it is so not extremely different that it should really make much of a difference. And and when we're processing, we have formulas. It's happening in a very big environment. There's no randomness to any of that. Nice. And I think I think as there's some conception because of there's been so much talk. Imperfect and Misfits did a fantastic job of socializing ugly vegetables, but it's not the whole story really too, in terms of how things are made, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so you guys get your questions in. As they're getting their questions in, and I want to walk me through using the concentrates. Chef Jerome Grant was helping you create these things. I'm looking at some of this stuff and I'm like, oh, yes, red beans and rice, black-eyed pea fritters. Yes, please. Ooh, arroz con chorizo. Okay. Oh, yeah. Like, you have a bunch of recipes. Are these just up for grabs for people to get to? Like, can they?
Yeah, we work, Chef Jerome's, is a friend of the business. He's really been such an incredible supporter of what we've been doing. And at the beginning, when it was completely new and there was much more of like a side eye, like, what is this thing that you're making? We just really wanted to socialize. Like, it's a versatile chef's tool. It can be used in a lot of different ways. You can use it as a ramen base, or in really interesting recipes. I think most chefs love to create their own thing, so we're not forcing any of this on anyone, but it's a jumping off point. It's more sort of to indicate these are the types of things you can make with this product. And if you don't have time to develop a new recipe, here's a 28 serving version of it that you can do more or less of. So it was really to show that and get people started on thinking about the incredible variety of ways that you can use the products.
All right. So I don't see many more questions coming, so it's fine. And if you're watching this on demand and you have questions, please go down into the comments and put your questions there. I talk to Anna multiple times, all the time. It's some email or doing a video edit, so I can get in touch. We can get your questions answered. But Anna, I want to leave with this. There's something that I've seen on your branding, and I love it. It is bold. It is in your face. But can you please explain move fast, fix things for us?
Yeah, there's a little bit of an inside joke because, we've been spending quite a bit of time, in Silicon Valley, where, as you all know, this is a play on, move fast and break things. And I love to move fast, but I don't think you have to break things necessarily in the process. And so, I think we're at a time in the world where so much needs to be fixed and quickly so that we can have a planet to live on and people can eat healthy food and live healthy lives. It's a play on that, and something that I feel also is inclusive.
Yeah. I feel like I just want to put this up on my wall and be like, yes, what am I doing today?
I think we should
How
make
am
a
I moving
poster
fast?
and give it
What
out.
am I fixing? Yes, exactly. All right, you guys, it is 11:42 Pacific time right now. I'm wrapping up this episode of Lead, Grow, Deepen. As always, one's in the chat to thank our wonderful speaker for this month. I mean, Anna Hammond, you are a gift. You are a gem. You are a diamond of just talking to you, and you put it food waste. I hear people talking all the time. You'll see them, they're on LinkedIn, and it's just screaming. But you have this grace about you that is just oh, and I get it. You simplify it in a way that makes it oh, yes, but I know that it's not as simple as it is. And I'm thanking you for doing the work, making the complicated less complicated, going through the trenches when people hung up in your face or whatever, or all the no's that you had to have before somebody said yes. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with it. Thank you for doing something that nobody has done before. Thank you for asking questions and then going further to ask clarifying questions. And we appreciate you. You're coming with broths and sauces, but there is a wealth of work. There's a wealth of passion that is changing the world. And so thank you. The ones are streaming in the chat because you are amazing. If nobody's told you today, you are fabulous.
Well, thank you.
You are marvelous.
We love the work and we love working with people in food. I spent so many years working in the art world with tons of creative people, and I really think food is an even more creative space, and where there's just so much possibility literally every day to change something. So, it really is a pleasure, and I look forward to collaborating with anyone who's here. Please reach out. You can reach us through our website. Shannon, please feel free to share my email. And the more collaboration, the faster we'll get there.
Yes. All right, you guys. This is the end of this month's Lead, Grow, Deepen. Thanks again for watching. If you're watching on demand, again, use the comments, ask questions, get connected, because how are we going to keep on making change? We are fostering a place of belonging. And Anna, you are doing that every single day. So thank you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube page, because if we go live, you'll be able to see it. So you'll get notifications. Go back and watch some of our other episodes. There's some really good ones in there. But until then, you guys, go out and just be great, because you don't need permission to be great. All right. We'll see you later.